back into the regular schedule. And
Okay, YouTube is up.
I believe we have,
Just reports?
we have the county attorney report.
So what our executive session was just about was that employment law case that, yes, we did that. I haven't been back here since then, but we did that mediation about a week and a half ago. So as you guys know, MVIC, the culvert case, is still up at the Court of Appeals. I think that it's been up there for close to a year, not quite a year, but about that. We just had Kinder Morgan up at the Court of Appeals. This is the BAA decision that ruled for us. And so when are we going to get a decision from the Court of Appeals?
Oh, hell, who knows?
I don't know, but it's taken them about a year for the MVIC decision, and it still hasn't come out yet. I could anticipate that it's going to take that long for them to decide on Kinder Morgan. So we are done on Kinder Morgan for now, done with the litigation. If the Court of Appeals rules for us, then we've won again until or unless Kinder Morgan tries to ask for certiorari to the Supreme Court. If we lose, two things could happen.
We appeal it.
Yes, that's likely what would happen.
You're
But
not going to see it
we're in the driver's seat.
long after I'm gone.
We're in the driver's seat, and I think everything's going as well as it could for us on the Kinder Morgan case.
Decision on our side, that helps. That helps a bunch.
Yes,
You'll see
and
it, Candelaria. You'll see it.
the
Maybe. If it goes Supreme Court, it'll be in the last year of your term. Yeah, last 8 years. You'll see.
Might not.
Took us that long to get that other goddamn settlement.
The Weber Canyon case is probably not going to resolve itself anytime soon either. There was a status hearing last week, and I don't know if I've already mentioned this to you all, but the courts emphasized last week that they're not even setting civil trials yet. They're trying to get out of the log jam for their criminal trials. And so because this is a civil case, it's not going to take priority. I think the earliest it would even possibly go to trial is about a year from now, and maybe that's optimistic. But that's kind of when you can anticipate Weber Canyon being in the courts for trial. So we'll continue working on that case. There's still depositions that need to be done. There's still discovery. There's still a lot of work. But as far as an actual jury verdict, then my guess is that, so right now we're not set, and my guess is we're going to be set for about a year from now. So that's all I have.
We'll be watching that from home as well.
Yep.
Yeah, we will.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baxter. Now we have our Natural Resources Planning and Public Lands report. Mr. James Dietrich. Good afternoon, James.
Okay, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Does that run?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing I wanted to do is give you an update on where we're at working through things with FEMA. And we had a conference call with FEMA 2 weeks ago at this point. Some of the discussion we've had is about how to handle these AE flood zones. And so, they're saying basically we need to do a fair amount of engineering studies on these, which is really going to be kind of over the top for a lot of things, especially things like gazebos and things like that.
Did you tell him how much water we've had in this county this year and the flood zone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get his attention on that, would you?
You bet. So we kind of worked through this whole thing, and we had Cap Allen in there to help us out because he's doing a lot of these floodplain certifications. And so what Cap has uncovered is that there's a little bit of a discrepancy between what we're hearing from CWCB and FEMA. So we kind of went over that with them, and after hashing the whole thing out, we've kind of come to the conclusion that for the time being anyway, doing everything subjectively, kind of like we've been doing, is okay. And so we're just going to kind of keep rolling the way we've been rolling, and we do have a certified engineer that looks at it and provides a professional analysis of it. So that seems to be the way we should keep going with it. And then later on, I had another follow-up call with FEMA. This was regarding some of the work that they're doing across the state right now. So right now what they're doing is that they've got some money to do more in-depth studies across the state, and this has partly to do with that LIDAR project that's going statewide. So once they get this LIDAR data coming in, they'll have tighter information. So what's happened over the time that I've been looking at the FEMA data and trying to manage these floodplains is that the first floodplain that I was working with sometimes didn't even follow the river. Sometimes that darn thing would go up the side of the mountain, and I mean, not even on the river, and it would be a half a mile off of the river, 400 feet up the side of the mountain. So, I mean, how in the world can you regulate anything on that, let alone the AE flood zones? So in 2014, well, I guess it was prior to that, we updated our regulations in 2014. But prior to that, they came in with tighter data. And so, first of all the data kind of matched the river, that was a good step. The second thing is you went from a flood zone that was like this to a flood zone that was like this. And so I kind of anticipate that when they come back in with more information, we're going to go from a flood zone like this to maybe a flood zone like this. So all that is probably good. So anyway, it's going to take them approximately 2 years to get that completed. After that 2 years, they'll revisit everything. And what I anticipate is they'll be bringing us forward a new map and ask us to readopt that map. And so that would be phase 2. And that's the point where we could talk about doing a regulatory floodway or not. So they're pushing regulatory floodway and saying it'll be easier to manage the AE zones. Well, that may be the case, but as we all know, when the feds come saying, hey, we're here to help you, it's time to start getting worried. So in the meantime, our emergency manager, Mr. Jim Spratlin, has had a conversation with the floodplain manager down in San Juan County, Utah. Or New Mexico, rather. She happens to actually do on the side these training courses. And so we feel like perhaps setting up a training course, getting an emergency manager in, getting the engineer we work with, planning as many people as we can roll into this training course as possible, kind of go over everything because it's kind of a refresher for everybody. And then she's got a different take on whether or not we should do floodway. And so I'd like to hear that. We need to have all the information we can have. So that's the part of the FEMA stuff. Also met with the Montezuma County Recreation Advisory Committee as well as the road department and Commissioner Candelaria. We were talking about a trail spur that would bypass County Road 31 heading up the hill there in Dolores. The road department felt it was a good idea. I think everybody felt this was a good idea. Sean Gregory from the McGrack Group was the primary proponent, and he's taken that forward to the Dolores Town Board. And it sounds like they've got pretty good response from the town board. And then we got some further information from Rob Engelhart, who feels like it may be possible to run that trail within the county right-of-way all the way up at least to County Road W. So that would really be a help. I think we got the support from the Sheriff's Department also on that. So anyway, more to come on all that. That's pretty exciting news.
That actually was presented last night at the trustee meeting with Dolores. Sean did a pretty nice presentation, and it sounded like they were going to now move it forward. It was just a presentation last night, so they didn't take any action on it. But it sounds like
Did you feel confident that they were gonna?
it sounds like they're going to move it forward for a decision to go ahead with it. Obviously, nothing was decided, but that's kind of how it sounded last night.
So that sounds like some good news. And then we're going to have another meeting with Rob Engelhart. So there's some question about the guardrail up there and how much of that can be removed. And so we'll have another meeting up there to talk in more detail about some of the things that we can possibly do with that guardrail. And then I wanted to mention too that, the posts that come out of that guardrail, those things are 8x8 dimensional timber, pressure treated. They make great retaining walls. And so we could donate that off onto the bicycle club to help them. All this would be essentially labor free. So moving in the right direction on all that stuff. Did get an update from Jovian Petroleum. The cleanup work should be done down there at the M&M by the end of October. I know they've got the canopy down. It sounds like that they're removing soil and doing some of the treatment on the soil, and so we should know by the end of October where they're at with all that. With regards to the landscape plans for the combined courthouse, so I've got 3 different versions that are prepared. I'm currently working through the cost estimates on that, and I should be done within a couple days on that. I'll meet with Mike about that and then kind of see if any of those kind of work for him. If they don't, then what we can do is we can combine some of the ideas from each one of them and try to come up with something better. But the cost estimates are kind of the main deal on that. But should be done within a couple days. Met with the BLM in the town of Mancos Marshal's office. So one of the things that we get from time to time, and actually a fair amount of the time, is a request about where we can go target shooting, especially in the winter. In the summer, we've got some of those old gravel pits up in the forest, and that seems to kind of serve the public need pretty well. During the winter months, though, people that don't want to go to one of the private ranges are looking for BLM land to go target practice on. We used to be able to go out there by Phil's World and out by Mud Springs. Currently, all of those are closed to target practicing, and the ones that aren't closed to target practicing have a seasonal closure. So the last remaining place to really go target practice is down County Road 41. Which there's it's a fairly safe place, and if you want to go plinking, there's a spot that you can do that down there. So nevertheless, there is a public, I would say, need for a appropriate place to go target shooting. One of the things that we're hearing is there's a desire for a 1,000-yard range. That's pretty hard to find around here.
That's more than just target practicing, buddy. That's sniper shooting.
That's right, yeah.
I think a lot of the thought is just for competition, because it's another way to bring in basically competitions to the community, because those guys are not shooting 100 and 200 yards. They're
We have
reaching
that out here at the Rifle and Pistol
way
Club
out
range.
there.
They've got 1,000-yard. They've got one that's at least 800 yards.
I think they got a 500-yard.
500?
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say,
Okay.
I don't think it's near that far, but I don't know that. But, I mean, it's if the BLM is open to it, which it sounds like they were at the last walk that we went
Yeah,
through.
they're good for it.
Gosh, it would be
So-
kind of neat to
Sure.
bring in that kind of it's
Kind
just
of an
another activity that we could have within this community.
Absolutely.
So the closest 1,000-yard range that we've got is down in Farmington. And so one of the things that we'll do is put together a survey, and I'll work with the town marshal on this, and we'll send that out hopefully in the newspaper. I've also talked to the IT department. I think we've got a way that we can bring in automated calls and actually do tallies with the help of the IT department. So we'll try to get that set up. See what everybody's desire is. If there's a lot of desire for a 1,000-yard range, we'll put more effort into it. I'm looking pretty hard, and it's pretty hard to find a place to actually safely be able to shoot that kind of distance, even on BLM. And BLM has a fair amount of restrictions. So, I mean, one of the questions is maybe we can meet a lot of the public need just through, shorter distance, say a 300-yard range or something like that. So I think the town of Mancos is really interested in taking a look at that old landfill and being able to work in at least a 300-yard range there. And we think that we could also accommodate a pistol range, which would be across the road. And both of those would be shooting in safe directions. And so I think we can make that
This at their
work.
landfill, not at their gravel pit?
At the landfill, although the gravel pit has also come up,
Yeah.
so that would be another area that we could.
I think Rob and I had a good conversation about that, and I think we want to stay away from that at that gravel pit.
Sure. I think for the time being, absolutely.
Yeah.
When that gravel pit's done and extinguished.
Sure, when we're done with our
Sure.
commitment, and we've made everything copacetic with Mancos, then Mancos can make that decision, but, yeah, I
Sure.
think while we're still in there mining
what
gravel.
kind of a
we need-
background do they have to, I mean, I'm sure on the BLM, but I'm thinking just not even on the BLM, what kind of a backstop do they have to have for
Yeah, I couldn't
1,000
speak to the
yard range.
details on that, but there are some standards, and so that'll be something we uncover, and that'll be part of that selection process. We need to know exactly what that,
Why
that
can't we
standard
use
is.
the mesa on top of our fairgrounds facility?
That's been suggested also.
East
So,
to west, or, yeah, that's on that section line, I mean, once we got people up on top, that's well over 1,000 yards.
certainly,
I mean, obviously, we'd have to
Have to
create a
build
backstop.
Embankment of some sort, yeah.
certainly. And so that's been suggested, and we'll evaluate that also.
Could be another attraction at our fairgrounds.
Well, because nothing is up there.
Nope.
Nothing's utilized up there at this point in time, is there?
Pinyon juniper.
And it's,
And all the pinions are dead, so it's just juniper.
yeah, it goes back a pretty
Oh, yeah.
fair distance to the south, correct?
That's correct.
On
yeah.
that mesa, like,
That's right. And so in the past, we've had the cowboy action shoots out there at the fairgrounds, and of course they can shoot into that hillside, and that's perfect. You get a lot of good exposure there too, because that's a pretty exciting event and something really unique. Most people wouldn't even think of that, but it's pretty cool and popular in our community too. So we will continue to explore that, Jim.
okay.
So let's see, I think that pretty much covers everything I had here for the week. Unless,
Has Connie reached out to you about the redistricting of the field offices?
I have not heard anything about that at this time.
Okay.
She'll probably be letting you know they're
Yeah.
changing boundaries.
Again,
Yeah, there you go.
okay,
But in a good way.
okay.
Yeah. I think
Okay,
it's in a
glad to hear
beneficial way,
that.
yeah.
Glad to hear that.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen.
James.
Right.
Very well done. Good
Thank you.
presentation. County Commissioners report.
No, I don't have nothing.
I have a lot. Boy, it's all right, just climb up here.
That's all right. No, I'll just let you go right ahead there, brother.
Actually, like James just said, I actually went down to the M&M, viewed some of that stuff down there, and that excavation is moving forward, and some of those canopies are taken down where the diesel tank and the fuel tanks were, so that's pretty exciting, and I didn't know they were gonna plan on being done by October, the end of October, but that's even better. Thursday, I went to the Southwest TPR meeting, just took care of actual business there. I did kind of brief you guys earlier about the restriping out on County Road N, which should be done by the end of the year, and P is gonna take just a little bit more work because of the rumble strips and what's gonna have to be milled and filled there to create
It's gonna make
that.
those intersections a lot safer, I'll tell
Right.
you what, that's
So,
good
so
stuff.
there will be a turning lane there,
Yeah.
sooner than later. CCI's meeting, the legislative agenda, we did get down to 8 legislative items for the coming year. One is the removal of publishing requirements regarding the county expenditures and salaries. 2, add definitions of domestic violence of the Colorado Children's Code. 3, the implement differential response for adult protection. Next was more funding for mental health co-responder programs for sheriffs and jails. An amendment to Senate Bill 2017, the Enhanced Law Enforcement Act. Change the mill levy certification procedures. The 811 exemption for county road maintenance. I think that actually is going to be a big one so that our county road department, just for the typical maintenance of grading, they don't have to call 811 for those locates. And then the OHV usage on county roads. And those are the 8 that are going to move forward at this present time. There are a couple on the,
Can you, Jim, on the OHE, because we already have that statute for, on county roads, what is that about?
it would basically be a statewide issue. So that, I mean, we did it within our community, it sounds
Just
like,
within our county.
but it could be then
A
a
statewide.
statewide. Now, I don't know how that'll get played out, whether you have to license or, I mean, there'll be, who knows what'll come about, but
Well, there'll have to be some fees and licensing.
There probably
from the
will be
state. If
fees and
state's gonna
licensing.
approve it, yeah, they
How
gotta get-
come
get
the
some
majority
money.
felt like that would have been better for the citizenship if to have
To move
statewide
it.
instead of county by county.
So, that was, that's one, obviously, that was voted on, and it's gonna move forward to the legislature, so that within the state of Colorado, it could be passed that you could have OHVs or UTVs on any county road.
Provided you come up
Cor-
and pay
correct.
state licensing fees and registration fees and road tax and.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out, but those are the, we had to have a 65% vote to get any of these to move forward. We had 10 slots to fill. We filled 8 of them, so as we get into the next meeting, probably in December at CCI, I'm sure some of these will be discussed. They did decide that we will have our winter conference. It's going to be a hybrid conference. Monday is going to be by virtual, and then Tuesday, Wednesday will be in person, but it's going to be decreased because cars won't be there, which is the road and bridge superintendents. It's basically going to be just for commissioners,
If I put it out,
administrators,
it doesn't
and-
bounce.
and that's basically going to be it. So it's going to be drastically reduced as far as people attending.
30th
November
through the 2nd.
30th through the 2nd. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And lastly, Shaq and I had met with Gina downstairs, and I think we can do this through the CARES Act also. She wants a waiting room down there, and, where we walk out to the front. Well, we looked at that. If we remove that window where they have that, where they're separated right there, put a doorway there, that then creates a waiting
In that
room,
hall- in
so
that
people
hallway,
could get
use
into
that
that.
hallway?
Not the hallway, but the actual room. And as all we do is move the,
You mean move a pickup wall back further?
yeah,
or what?
because, yeah, we create a wall, just like what we're doing in the DA's office, and it's actually a pretty good size room. We just move we move them back about 14 feet, roughly. And it would create a pretty good sized waiting room.
Yeah.
And then everything's under the same roof. We're just making a few accommodations with that. So, I don't know, Shaq, did we?
We don't have a price on it.
No, we don't have a price on it, but just to kind of let you guys know, I think we should go ahead and move forward and
Well, do you
get a
think we
price on that.
should do it in-house, or we don't have, or do you think we should hire?
Well, we've got our in-house people redoing the fairgrounds.
I think we should kind of do what we're doing at the DA's office and just do it with a storefront. So in other words, it's going to
Okay.
look similar to that.
Right.
Are we done over there, or have they even started yet? 'Cause know
I
it
don't
was
know, I
4
haven't
weeks.
walked over there. The last time I looked, they hadn't started yet.
Anyway, I think we have enough time that we can get a cost, but then that way you guys could visually see what that is going to look like when it's done.
And then
So,
that'll put everybody in the hallway right now into.
into
Into
the
a waiting
and that
room
way
instead
that
of-
hallway is not cluttered.
Okay.
Do the
And-
DAs want to use that waiting room too, or is
There you
that
go.
not?
I think the waiting room is going to be pretty large. I mean,
Pretty
that
big.
room is probably 16 feet wide by, if we go
I
16
don't
by
think
16.
the DA gets enough visitors to worry about
Yeah,
a
that's
waiting
probably
room.
true.
I don't either, but
They
it's,
could wait down there till they got a.
sure.
I mean, they usually call ahead for an appointment, walk up the stairs and ring the doorbell.
But I know there was some talk about trying to close in that entryway, and the more we looked at it, I'm like, gosh,
That's hard.
this just doesn't,
North side, bad
north
place to
side,
close it.
drainage, I said, this is going to be a
Be a nightmare.
problem.
Leaks,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nightmare.
A lot of leaks, so I think this will be a lot better situation. There is a lady that sits in the very, very far north of that, but there is enough room in the other, which would be the old clerk's office, that
Mhm.
if
Just move
she
her
had to
there.
move, you could probably move her. And I think Gina sounded like she was on board with it. So I'll work with Shaq on trying to get that drawn up and get some cost to that. So then that
Okay.
actually fixes that for COVID. It makes that separation. We get the people inside, and I think it's doable. And that's all I have.
Hey, one thing I wanted to add. Sorry.
Go ahead.
A few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when you all approved allowing Ms. Purcell, the clerk, to modify and correct the weed resolutions and fix the numbers. I think you all gave a specific range of numbers for her to fix, and there were a couple more that came up a couple of weeks ago. You can correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Ms. Purcell, but I think resolutions 21 through 23 and 24, she also corrected. Kim called me and asked, and I said, just do it, and I'll tell the commissioners about it. So your motion to have her correct the numbering on the weed resolutions applied to those two.
Okay.
Okay.
Good advice. Thank you, Attorney Baxter.
That's basically what we did. We just used the same motion for the whole correction.
There you go.
I attended via Zoom a public lands meeting for the state of Colorado last week. Multiple commissioners were on that call. Commissioner Allen, as well as myself from Alamosa County. There was $100,000 that's sitting in the budget reserves for public lands of Colorado. Commissioner Allen and myself kind of brainstormed and come up with that all of the counties that paid their dues for the Public Lands Travel Committee would freeze. You're gonna get a bill, but you won't pay it.
Next year, don't pay that bill.
Next year, don't pay that bill because you get a free ride next year.
Nice.
And then there's 5 open seats on the traveling committee. The chair, which I'm the chair, and the vice chair, and then three other meetings seats. If you are a county that didn't pay the traveling, your dues, you have the option to pay for 2020, and then you can vote. If you do not do that, then you can't vote on that.
Can't vote.
So, other than that, that's all I had. So. Public comment?
Oh, no, lines, form the line over here on the left-hand side of the building, please.
We should remind them they only have 3 minutes.
And 3 minutes, yeah. Could you set the timer, Commissioner Candelaria?
Got it.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?